came out here a few moments ago to get a couple of logs for the fire. Suddenly, I had a strange feeling that I was being watched. Now, it's particularly unpleasant because I live out here on my own. Or so I thought. I suppose you're thinking, if he must live in a lonely old cottage in the woods, he deserves to get spooked. Well, not necessarily. Our first story this week is from a ladies' hairdresser's. More of that in a moment. In this week's programme, Lizzie, our psychic medium, is going to investigate the strange goings-on at a 1980s house in Basildon. Later she'll be revealing some very persistent goings-on in one of Norfolk's ancient pubs. And I'm going to tell you where, if you're lucky, you might meet the ghost of Mary Queen of Scots. But first, that hairdresser's. Mulberry's is no different from any hairdresser's you'd expect to find in any high street in any town, except this one has a ghost. It doesn't seem to stop the customers queuing up, but it certainly gave the shop's owner, Tony Lewis, a bit of a fright.
I used to have an office across the road, which I rented as part of my business. When I was working late, sometimes up to sort of about 1:30 in the morning, I would come across to go to the toilet because my office didn't have an inside toilet. The business had shut a number of hours, and I used to see the lights on when I came over, and I used to think that it was a member of staff had come back, maybe for a liaison or rendezvous with somebody, and I used to come over and investigate, and nobody was here. Whenever I asked the staff the next day, they all denied ever coming back. But the lights were on a number of times. It was so frequent, it was more than 10, less than 100 I suppose, but I thought there must be some simple explanation. I just don't believe in ghosts and ghoulies, you know, it wasn't something I would readily accept. One day we had a junior member of staff, who attempted to gain access into the beauty salon, and she was thrown back and she couldn't actually get in, and she felt a presence and actually was unable to talk for half an hour and was sobbing. And she's not that type of person to be overly upset that easily, so I had to get somebody to sort it out because she was very, very unhappy. I'd actually seen a recent article in the local paper, the Great Yarmouth Mercury, about a team of paranormal investigators, and I thought, well, I'd give them a call and see if they could give me an explanation, a rational explanation for what was going on. When the team came in, they held a 36-hour vigil, which had TV cameras, electromagnetic field indicators, temperature gauges, monitoring the whole area, which was the beauty salon. And there was a number of incidents that showed me that there was a drop in temperature in a block, which you could put your hand up to. You could actually feel the drop in temperature of about 6 or 7 degrees. And it changed my view, because obviously something was going on. It was actually something that was a physical manifestation that you could see. I don't know whether it's a ghost, but there's an energy, there's something. There's something that's unexplained, because nobody can explain it to me.
This business of switching off the lights last thing at night and then coming down in the morning to find them switched on again is a fairly common feature of haunted houses. It happens here at the Three Horseshoes pub in the Norfolk village of Scotto. But there are a number of other goings-on here as well, so we sent Lizzie, our psychic medium, to investigate. As ever, we told her absolutely nothing, not even the address, before taking her to meet Murray Thexton, the current landlord, and Del Mountney, the former landlord.
Pleased to meet you.
A roadside pub dating back several hundred years, it has an old agricultural barn attached to it, used these days as a function room. But Lizzie's psychic powers kicked in the moment she stepped into the bar.
I'm getting a sense that there's a very strong character here, very strong character, somebody who feels that he lived here and still owns this pub.
Yeah.
He's a very busy man, likes to sort of organise things and move things around. Oh, he flicks switches. That's what he does. He turns switches on and off.
There's a light switch there that turns itself on and off, and it used to do it with Del.
Yeah. That was my first experience. I switched them off at night when I used to go through a door there, and when I come back out, the light would be on. I used to come out and get a drink or something before I went to bed, you know. And the lights were on, and I used to say, whoever you are, stop playing a game, I want to get to bed.
And it stopped.
And it stopped.
And I also get a feeling that he doesn't like people to leave. I feel like there's this huge force between me now and the door. Have you actually had a moment where you've not been able to open the door?
What I
Found
have
it.
done is to go out and looked up and the bolt is like that,
Yeah.
tried to open the door and the door's not moved. So I thought it was actually shut here.
And it's not.
Put a key in and it's unlocked, but I've looked back up and it's gone like that. But it happened without a sound, without me knowing it, without me looking at it, because I looked down there.
So he obviously wants to make his presence felt here.
Yeah, most of it feels to me like it's just mischievous.
Yeah.
He's just playing. As both Del and I said earlier on, never felt scared of him, never felt frightened. It's just like he's playing.
So where are we off to now?
We're going through to what we call the barn.
Right. Footsteps are obviously big time in here. And going up and down the stairs here.
Yep. We actually had a band playing in here, and one of the guys was actually in setting up on his own. And as he walked down here, he heard somebody walking behind him, and turned around and there was nobody there. That's what I mean when I say it all seems to come
right now.
across.
Somebody behind me breathing. It's a very strong presence right here.
That's why a lot of the staff won't come in here, because it is a fairly strong presence.
It's a very strong presence.
And we always say goodnight at the end of the night.
So this is another bar.
This
This
bar's
is so
new.
cold here. This spot here is so cold. I'm presuming you've seen something around this area, is that correct?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This night, we'd had a rock night on, and the place was packed. It was evening, and I managed to get them out about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, oh, I don't know, I'm going to have a drink. So I went into that bar there, and I sat there having this drink. Then something attracted me, the corner of my eye, and I looked through here, and there was somebody sitting on the bench seat there. And I thought, oh no, somebody's fallen asleep. They've had too much to drink and fallen asleep. And I stood in the doorway here, and I said, "Wait, come on!" I said, "They've all gone home. Come on!" And this, what I thought was a person, turned and looked at me, but I couldn't see a face. All I could see was this hat, which was fairly tall. It looked a floppy type of hat, if you know what I mean. And the coat looked very old-fashioned, very high collar, like an old military-style coat. And being a rock night, I thought it was one of them, they wear these old coats and that sort of thing, these old military coats. And I went to the bar, turned the lights on.
No one there.
When I come back, there was nobody there. Now I could see whatever it was. I could see it as plain as I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
As he was sitting on the bench seat, or it was sitting on the bench seat. I don't know whether it was man or woman. Turned to look straight at me.
Right.
and then turn back again.
That's absolutely right. I mean, you can see them as clearly as that.
I checked all the doors, everything I checked. And I went and got the dog and brought the dog in because I thought, well, he could have, you know, he might have run somewhere and hid or something. Brought the dog, and the dog wouldn't even come through the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards I left him there for a little while, and I checked all the doors. There was no way they could get out because the doors weren't open.
No.
You see, they was all locked. So there was no way they could get out. They couldn't get past me because I'm standing in the doorway.
Yeah. You
I saw
what
it.
you saw.
You know, I saw it, and there's no way. You know, there's no way I could have made a mistake.
No. No.
That was quite an experience for me because I up until that time, I sort of half believed, you know, things that were being moved and lights being switched on and off, and that really convinced me then that there is something. I don't know what it is, but there is something, some sort of force.
That was quite a put down, wasn't it? The ghost sitting there in his 17th century clothes trying to frighten Dell, only to be taken for a modern rock musician. We're going to take a break now, but we'll be back in a moment when Lizzie uncovers a very moving story at a house in Basildon. And I've got that tale of Mary, Queen of Scots. Don't go away. We're going now to Basildon in Essex, where Lizzie went to a modern 3-storey house on the outskirts of the town. Once again, we told Lizzie nothing before she arrived to meet Liv Keefe and her daughter Caris. This house was built sometime in the 1980s in a quiet road on the edge of town and has been home to Liv and her family for the past 8 years.
This is Caris.
Hi, Caris. Nice to meet you.
Welcome. Come
Thank you.
inside.
So, Liv, which room are you going to take us to first?
We're going to go to my daughter's room first,
Okay.
which is round here.
Caris, do you find that your forehead's been stroked at night, that sort of thing? Do you feel like somebody's actually touching your face?
Yeah, sometimes I get the feeling, as if someone's touching me, or when you think that you've got
Playing with your hair.
hanging down, and you think, oh, move it out of the way.
Yeah.
And you're not quite sure whether it was a hair or whether it was you being touched.
I'm also getting that there's breathing, heavy breathing.
Yes.
I keep feeling like I can hear the breathing going on right here.
In your ear.
In your ear, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I have actually experienced that in my bed. I've been lying there of a night time, and I've actually felt as if somebody was right behind me and breathing in my ear. It's very heavy, as if they've got a cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I get that sense as well. I mean, I do pick up and can hear the breathing going on here.
Yeah.
Is there someone else in the house right now?
It shouldn't be.
No, well, I can hear something going on. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did.
We get this a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
I think you've definitely got more than one spirit here. Have you actually seen anything, either of you?
I've seen something upstairs. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go upstairs and have a look and
Okay.
look and see what's up there, shall we?
Yeah. Show you the way.
Thank you. So this is your room?
This is my bedroom.
Right,
Yes.
okay. And do you have a quieter night's sleep than your daughter?
Drink of tea.
Thank you. So, I get the activities at the end of your bed, but I'm also drawn to the wardrobe.
Okay.
I feel this is more personal to you, if that's okay with you to talk about
Yeah.
anything personal. Who had something wrong with her head and died of a sickness which involved severe headaches
Okay.
and sickness, felt sick,
Mhm. Yeah.
and then died through their sickness? Who's David?
It's my partner who died, who was very ill.
Right.
This is his room.
Yeah. Did he get sick and have to go into hospital?
Eventually, yeah.
Did he have something up his nose? Did he have like a...
Yeah, didn't like that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting that he was
Yeah,
unhappy
at
about...
the end, yeah.
Yeah. Why am I seeing a hat?
Because he had to get one at the end, and it was not like, yeah.
Was he quite a spiritual person? Yeah. He's very protective over you all. I feel that he protects you all at all times.
Yeah.
He's here watching over you all.
Yeah.
And this is very much his floor. This is his floor up here.
He would read a lot up here, and thought processes go on up here,
All his thinking.
particularly this room.
Yes. Tell me a bit more about what you actually saw.
Well, this side of the room, actually, that wall actually disappeared completely, and it's absolutely brilliant light, and there was an entire scene, sort of almost like very high cavern underground, sort of a construction type site, perhaps miners. So I called over to my partner and I said, why are there miners in our bedroom? You know, because I didn't quite know what to make of it. But then what caught my attention, and really possibly was the most freaky part, was there was also another hole punched through where they were working. This wasn't well lit, but there was a guy in there, and he came and sat down on a huge sort of boulder at this opening. You could see all the rocks, it was very vivid, and he was looking through into my bedroom, and was just sort of staring like this into the room. And I thought, obviously initially you think, oh, they're going to talk to me, or they're going to say something to me, because they're there, right there.
Had your partner woken up by this stage and seen it as well?
He didn't see it. I woke him up, and I said, well, you know, this guy's in our room, and I just want it to go away. And he said it took about 15 minutes for him to talk to me before. I kept turning around. He said it will go away. I kept turning around, and it was still there. The guy was still right there, looking into our room, and eventually it disappeared, and the bedroom was back to normal.
I'm seeing something much more angelic with this that you saw here. This was not something frightening for you. This was something almost kind of wondrous.
Yeah.
This happened before he passed over, is that correct? Or
Yes,
after?
before.
Okay. I do feel, as I've said before, I think this is a personal thing. You are describing a very similar story to people who have been regressed into past lives. And the first thing they see when they describe the process of between death, passing over, and then into the next life. And it's very similar, very, very similar.
Gosh.
And they describe caves and people being in these
Yeah.
caves, and then somebody standing there ready and waiting, who's generally your spirit guide, waiting to receive you. So I think in this particular incident, obviously they were coming forward to show you that somebody was ready and waiting
Goodness
to
me.
take him over.
Yeah.
And if this happened round about the same time as he just started to get sick, then
Yeah.
I think that's probably... So I think
Yeah.
that's why it happened.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll lend you some books.
Yes, yeah, I'll be fascinated.
But I
to
don't
know.
think this would have happened to many people, but I feel your husband was an extremely spiritual person.
Yes, he was.
That's why it happened so vividly.
Yeah.
That really is quite some story, with a very personal touch, and the only story in our series where an eyewitness had a ghostly experience which looked ahead to something which would follow. I'm going to finish with a story where the ghost came to the house with the fixtures and fittings from another building. There are few romantic royal tragedies to surpass the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots. Nowadays, historians point out that her troubles were her own fault and the result of her scandalous relationships with men. Where have we heard that one before? Anyway, it was this behaviour which led to her abdication in Scotland and subsequent exile in England, where her cousin Elizabeth I imprisoned her at Fotheringay Castle in Northamptonshire. These days it's little more than a mound beside a farmyard, but it was here after dinner one evening, when standing on the staircase leading to the upper rooms, that Mary learned she was to be executed the following morning, the 8th of February, 1587. At 8 o'clock she was taken down to the scaffold and had her head cut off with an axe. Her son, James V of Scotland, later became James I of England, and wishing to erase the memory of his mother's painful end, he ordered that Fotheringay Castle be demolished. In the nearby town of Oundle, the owner of the Talbot Hotel was swift to gather up some of the building materials from the castle and recycle them into the refurbishment of his hotel. What he hadn't bargained for was the added extra. He took one of the great stone mullioned windows from the castle and reconstructed it to the back of his hotel. Inside, he reassembled the very staircase upon which Mary had been standing when she received the news of her impending execution. It was from here onwards that guests began reporting strange sightings. Some said they saw a lady in a long dress and a small white cap walking down the staircase, and others have seen her face at the window on the stairs looking down into the yard, and yet when anyone goes to see who it is, there's no one there. One man reported the sound of a sobbing woman in the room next to his, but when staff investigated, the room was empty. Legend has it, her executioner stayed at the Talbot Hotel the night before he did his ghastly deed. Perhaps the ghost of this once proud queen has come back to look for him. Who knows? I wonder how many guests carrying their suitcases down that staircase realise they're treading the same path as Mary Queen of Scots on the way to her execution. I'll leave you with that thought. Next week, we've got the story of a couple who pitched their tent on a Second World War American airfield in Suffolk, only to be terrified by what happened. And Lizzie investigates a ghost who was accustomed to some very gracious living. Sleep well, if you can.